And you have your coffee with you, right?
I have my coffee.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Productivity Mastery Podcast. I'm here with a friend of mine today, somebody who became a friend, who I've been seeing in different countries in the past few years, which is what happens when you are into the startup community and when you have a startup founder that's very ambitious in trying to go places, as Marek was. Marek, we met first. Was it Technopole, the first one that we've met at?
No, I think it was in Lisbon, in Portugal, right? Through the Startup
I
Wise Guys
I,
program.
I think Lisbon was afterward. I think it was Technopole accelerator incubator. No,
Maybe.
I
We
think
met
so,
so many
man.
times in different places.
Yeah,
So
that's true, man. That's true. Shout out to Startup Wise Guys. Shout out to Technopole for the great programs they're doing. But yeah, man. I mean, look, today we were discussing with Marek. We want to have a real talk because there's so much talk about entrepreneurship out there for the past maybe 10, 15 years. And somehow it's painted like this amazing journey that the cool people that decide to become entrepreneurs is just this cool thing, and you're just going to conferences and customers come to you and you're having this great life. And I mean, it's great to be an entrepreneur. It's great to be running your own business. But at the same time, there's also the other side of the coin. And I want to have a real talk about your story, your journey so far, and the lessons. And anybody from the audience who's interested to join the discussion, drop a comment, drop us a question. We'll try to get some questions. But Mark, maybe give us a bit of an idea about the beginning of the startup. Why did you decide to start your own company, and why specifically in that industry? Let's just take a little bit of a context about what the startup was about, the early days, and then we'll talk about also the decision for you guys to close it.
yeah, sure. I just want to mark down that it still was an amazing journey so far, and even though we shut down the company, but to give everyone a little bit context, so we started 2021. It was COVID, and all of the founders they were really into sports. So they were like watching sports. They were fan of sport, and during the COVID area, the clubs and then the leagues, they were struggling how to engage the fans because the stadiums were empty, and all you could do is support your own favorite club or a league throughout the TV, or I don't know, buy something or whatsoever. So we decided to do something digitally to engage the fans, and we started in Estonia locally. Just started like conversations with top clubs in Estonia, and then we did some customer interviews, and we started developing a product. And it was just an idea phase. We were like working 9 to 5, everyone as founders, and we met together like once a week just to plan the sprints and plan new tasks, and I don't know, do some customer interviews, develop the product, etc. Quickly, we launched like the product. It was an overnight success in Estonia. We got really good traction, and we started talking with other clubs, and we got basically partnerships with all of the clubs in Estonia in one sport, basketball.
When you say
And
traction,
then
you mean paid customers.
pay customers, users, the partners were happy. We would earn revenue and give a share to them. So they were really happy because the fans weren't coming to the arenas and support them. So we could do something digitally. So the fans who were at home, they could support the club, engage with the club, and so on. And the product was pretty simple. So we built basically a fantasy sports product. That product actually has been live, I think, over 100 years already. Like it began like 100 years ago. And but what we did differently is that we used gamification on top of fantasy sports league. So we built a product that fans would use on a daily basis, not only when the games are happening. For example, two clubs are playing with each other. So we would also engage the fans on a days when sports is not happening. And this was basically a dream for a club or for a league, because they don't have anything to offer besides social media and TikTok. But if you could use gamification, some games, and so on to engage the fans on a non-sports day, this was something. This was a big value proposition for the clubs and the leagues.
Was that the reason you gained traction so fast? Like, was there something in specific that you can share now with the audience, with the founders listening? Like, were you guys very fast into reaching out to customers and understanding what they want? Was there the factor of luck? Like, what helped you to hit it and to gain traction so fast?
I think the problem was pretty obvious for clubs. So when, for example, when I started contacting and calling the club owners and the directors, I immediately asked them, like, what are you doing nowadays to engage fans digitally? And the answer was mostly like, we're not doing anything. We would love to do it. And then I would say on top, like, if we would do that and even earn your money, would you do a partnership together with us? 95% of the cases, the answer was yes, of course, let's do it. What do you need from us? And then we would already be set for success in terms of partnership and engaging the clubs and getting the contracts. So, and this actually worked quite well in terms of signing the contracts. I think in the end, 4 years in, if I jump like from the first year to the fourth year, we had, I think, over 100 clubs under our basically portfolio, and I think we expanded from Estonia through Latvia through Lithuania in 1.5 years. So the product had gained so great traction in terms of word of mouth, users, paid customers, partnerships and success, that whenever we talked with leagues or clubs, they said, yes, we have heard of the Scorestars. We would love to do a partnership. And even there were some of the leagues and clubs who were like calling us, hey, we would love to do a partnership together with you next season. Would you be up for it? And we would kind of validate if that's something that we would love to do. So in some period of time, there were like too many clubs that we kind of couldn't handle. So, and then we launched our product in Lithuania. So as we know, in Lithuania, the basketball is, I don't know, it's a belief there. Like every son wants to be a basketball player. They play it a lot there. So it's a huge market in terms of, if we look at, for example, Europe on a map, then Lithuania is in top 10 countries in terms of basketball. So it was a huge step for us to actually expand to Lithuania. We launched together the product together with Lithuanian Basketball League. I think in first day we got in 1 hour we got like 10,000 users who signed up, started playing together, started playing the fantasy league and so on. And this actually brought us enough traction to start talking with investors, like, hey, maybe this product would be something that we could scale globally. Maybe this product would be something that we could expand to US in the future in 3, 4, 5 years, because US has this kind of market, right? So if you talk about fantasy sports and like sports overall, sports business, so that was kind of our target as well. And then we started talking with investors, but of course, in that period of time, it was hard for us, because we as a founders, we were unemployed, so we took the risk to actually took the risk for 12 months to build the company, to build the product, validate the product, talk with the customers, and raise funds. So this is the risk that we took.
And this was on savings. You were not generating money, paying yourself salaries. Like it was you just savings.
Zero salaries, yeah. So this was a huge risk for all of us. So we came.
How many founders?
So we had 4 founders at that time, and most of the founders, were unemployed, and we worked our asses off to get to the funding rate. So and it was hard. Even at one point, we sat down with the founders. I think it was in 2023 May. And we kind of discussed that, okay, what should we do? Should we still keep on fundraising, trying to kickstart operations, or should we close down and move on? These are conversations that happen on a kind of monthly basis when you're in a so early stage. Even if those conversations don't happen, with your founders, you as a founder and CEO, you still think about it. If you don't have enough kind of traction with fundraising or a product or a revenue or GME whatsoever. So this is something you definitely think about on a monthly basis. But we made a decision that we need to get the first money in. So we need 10,000 on a bank account so we could kind of move on and show some traction to other investors that there is already one investor who is believing into us. So we called our advisor Ott, and he said that, Marek, don't be shy. Just take your phone, take the first investor that you think should invest into Scorestars, and call him right away. So this is what I did. 3 minutes after I took the phone, I called to the investor that I said the story that we expanded to Lithuania. We had this much of traction, this much of revenue, and we are aiming to expand to Turkey and do a partnership with FIBA, etc., etc. We sat down, he validated the product, and I think it was like a month or 2 later, he gave us the 10K. In August, I got 60K. In September, October, I joined Startup Wise Guys. They invested the money, and then later on, one fund in Estonia also invested 400K. So, but when I'm talking about it right now, I think for audience it seems like, oh, it was easy, nothing, right? So, but at the same time, I was kind of working like, I don't know, from 9 a.m. up to like midnight, calling investors, doing cold emails, asking feedback from every pitch, because like when I'm pitching to investors, I was always asking like in the end of call, like, what do you think about Scorestars? Like, what do you think about our company? What are the main concerns for you? So I could iterate on my pitch and on the product. So this was like a full-time job for me, fundraising, and the other founders were working.
A few things here, man. A few things here. I just want to emphasize on that. First of all, both with generating traction and with getting your first investor, I think it's such a good reminder that sometimes things are simple, but we make them complicated. We complicate things and we overthink things, and you just pick up the phone and you're like, hey, I have this product. Do you want to give me money? Like, it's that simple. Hey, we're thinking about building this product. If we have these features and we give you this, would you be willing to pay us? Like right away, like being kind, but just being super straight and focusing on the numbers. As I understood, you started talking to customers before you had the product built, right? You were discussing and asking them, if we have that, would you pay? So that was before. And so many founders, they get excited about an idea and they start building, and they're like, no, we have to sell it. and it's a little bit too late because you haven't got the feedback and incorporated what they need, because it might be different in your head. So the first thing is the simplicity. Just pick up the phone and ask. And it became like a chain reaction for you. The first investor believes in you. Now the other investors are more likely to say, what is this thing? Somebody already paid money, put their money on the table. So there might be something there. I need to check it. And then you get the next one and you get the next one. Was that the reason Wise Guys also, Wise Guys is a established fund acceleration program. They believed in you. Was that part of the reason that they saw also some other people, some other investors already chipped in?
Yeah, definitely. I think like every investor wants to see some validation, and also every investor wants to see if there's any investor before them that they have done the due diligence and everything. So I think it definitely helped a lot. So this actually gave us momentum, because before you have fundraised anything, you're lacking actually confidence that is there any investor in the world who would give you any money, right? So if there's one investor, then there's another 10 investors who would give you money, right? So because there's already one investor who is believing in you, and then he is also helping you to invest, giving you connections and so on. So yeah, I think this actually helped us a lot. That there were like some investors who came in, at the different times, not at the same time. So.
Another great lesson and reminder: the constant iteration. Like, you didn't stop asking for feedback from customers and from investors. And I think no matter if you are a founder, if you work for a startup, or even if you are a business owner on a service business, that's a great reminder, man. I'm doing corporate training and workshops, right? I'm a professional speaker. I deliver speeches. The best way for me to grow is every time I deliver is to receive good amount of feedback, and then incorporate the stuff that I think it's good. And if you put it into the next 6, 12, 18 months, of course, I'm going to be much further away from where I started if I consistently ask for feedback, even if it hurts my ego, my feelings. But how do you learn to deal with your ego?
I don't know. I just push it down, But I think some ego needs to be there, but and some ego you need to push it down as well, especially when you're building like a startup. Because, for example, when we talk about like fundraising, you have seen those founders who go like and fundraise and like pitch and like do different stuff, and then I think I still believe in that case that um, when you talk uh, enough about your startup to the world, there are people coming and listening to you, investing into you, asking feedback from you, buying something from you. So you need to be out there somehow. Is it through conferences? Is it through events? Is it through podcasts? Is social media, whatsoever? So you need to be there. But I still believe like more that when you build a startup, you have great traction. There are investors who are coming and knocking on your door, and that's the base case. That's the best case scenario. So you don't have to do the fundraising, but the investors are coming to you. That's the best
If you can
scenario.
go back in time, if you can go back in time and just start the same startup over again at the same time you started, and you can only focus on 3 things. All your time can be focused on 3 things. What would be the 3 things you focus on?
I think first one, if I would do it in the same industry, in the same way. Second thing, well, first thing, sorry, I'll add my second input as well. Yeah, hope you can hear me. But the first thing is a business model. So I would definitely focus more on the business model. Like, how can we get the money from the customer? So to give you a little bit context as well and background. So we worked on a revenue share model with partners and the clubs. So Revenue share model is a great way to start partnerships, but in order to scale your company as a startup, you need to think through the revenue share model. How are you going to scale as a business and as a business model? So is it scalable? So this is something that I would definitely would work on more. Second thing, I would maybe choose to scale to different regions. For example, I would try US because, as I said, US has the market in terms of sport business. There are investors, there are like businesses, there are big leagues that have lots of money, and then the clubs. So maybe those two things I would focus on if I would do it again.
Okay. Now let's continue with the story. As I read online, you raised what, like 725K in total funding. So you're gaining some momentum from these investors acceleration programs. You're gaining traction. You're going to Lithuania, to other countries. Like, give us more about the story and what led us to the point of no return, to the point of in which you said, you know what, like, we're done. Just give us the whole story.
Yeah. So when we fundraised, the main goal was to scale and expand the product to different countries. And our product was something that we could scale really easily from Estonia to different areas of the world. And we would do it through the partnerships. So we looked for countries and sports leagues and clubs that would want to work with us. And we identified 4 to 5 countries that we would want to expand and try to scale our product. And this is why we fundraised 725,000 to get runway to try the product in different countries. One of them was Turkey. So Turkey was a country that we really wanted to expand because there's lots of people. There's like, I don't know, 80 million people who are living in Turkey. And from our research, half of them are a fan of a sport. It's either football or it's basketball or other sport. So it's a huge country. But at the same time, it's a hard country to expand to because, you know, the competition in terms of reaching the eyeballs, it's huge there. So every company wants to reach those persons who are living in Turkey and watching sports. But nevertheless, we tried. And to be honest, what we learned is that in Turkey, the culture is much more different than in Baltics or Estonia or Finland. So to do a partnership together with the Turkish Basketball League, which has 108 people working there, it was different for us. So we couldn't get the operations off ground. We tried, but we couldn't. So it was really hard. I'm trying to put my...
You had big expectations. You've been very optimistic maybe before. You're like, it's gonna work. It's a big market, and then you go, you push, doesn't work, and disappointment, doubting yourself, all this kind of stuff. Like maybe months of hustling.
Yeah, we didn't have the insights like how Turkish culture and Turkish country works as a business wise. So I think this was the hardest part as well. So, but at the same time, we had a different partnership with, for example, Israeli league. We expanded there. Then we worked together with FIBA. So there were like many partnerships at the same time that we were expanding to. And we quickly saw that even if Turkey has like lots of population, we can't get our operations off ground there. So I'm meaning like in terms of like adding users from Turkey to our platform, to our product. So this is something that we kind of discontinued. And we started working on a separate product. So we saw that the business to business to customer, like the revenue share model, isn't working as it's supposed to, and we kind of did a small pivot to a different product. And this was already in 2024 December. So this is something that we kind of thought, okay, maybe we should kind of do a pivot.
At that moment, how are you on the money and how are you on the mental, emotional?
Yeah. So in terms of money, we had, I think, 9 to 10 months of runway left.
Mm-hmm.
So we were still kind of in a good position that, okay, if we would kind of try on any other market, get some traction, and maybe we could talk again with the investors. But we decided that since we couldn't get the product, the fantasy sports product, working in those countries, we decided to kind of do a pivot to a different model. And this was kind of our the founders got together and we decided, okay, let's try a new product for 6 months. So basically we decided, okay, let's try it for 6 months. Let's do the pivot. Let's get one B2B customer because we already have the partnerships. We could talk with the customers that we already had, existing customers. And if we can get this off ground, then we could kind of raise money again and then like proceed with the operations. And the product was like kind of similar that we already had, but on a different vertical. So we were building white label gamified fan application for the clubs. So let's say if you're like a sports club, doesn't matter which sport, football or basketball, then you could basically adopt a fan application. So you could sell tickets, merchandise, do some gamification there, show match results and so on. So, and there were fan apps already on the market, but again, the different way that we or a different avenue that we approached is the gamification part, because we saw that lots of the fan apps are like just sitting in the fans' pockets in the phones and not engaging enough. So what we decided to do is that we could implement gamification on top. So again, we would kind of initiate this gamified level for fans on an daily basis. And this is something that actually clubs again said that yes, this is important. We would love to do this, but we were working on a different revenue share model. So we tried to sell the product for clubs on a B2B case. So we give you a product, you give us money. And this was a little bit different discussion then, because the clubs always, they have their budgets. They want to use the budget to their players and like different things. And usually we were kind of seeing that the clubs, they don't have enough money to invest into these kind of solutions. So this was the main kind of case.
So at that point, how many years you've been running the startup, like from the beginning to that moment? Like, is that 3 years or 4 years?
It was 4 years, yeah.
4 years. 4 years working like very, very heavy hours, pushing really hard, not taking many vacations, I guess, like living on a like not going to fancy places, and like 4 years of really pushing, right?
4 years of pushing, yeah. And I think the pivot decision was also kind of supported by that we didn't have this kind of monthly, I don't know, 30% growth. So we were kind of missing those small wins on a monthly basis that we want to push this forward. We always had a vision. We always had a strategy. We always had a team that would kind of push this strategy. But somehow we were missing those kind of small wins, like startups are always reporting, like we're growing like 50% on a month to month or 20% month to month. So we were kind of missing those. And And if you miss those, then it drains your emotional runway, how to say. If you don't have those small wins, then you kind of start thinking, okay, if this what I'm doing right now, is this right? And you start to kind of questioning yourself, right? So I think this was one part of struggle that we had as a founder as well.
It's kind of like you're questioning, is it worth it? I'm putting so much effort, so much energy. I could be doing so many other things. We don't even get the results. Like, are we delusional? Why are we doing this? Like, you're tired. You see your bank account and you're like, all these things, right? Was there a specific moment, like you remember the moment that you guys were so worn out that you get into this meeting room or whatever, you're just like, okay, that's it, we're done. Like, was there like, you remember the moment?
Constantly. It was, like I said in the beginning, it was a monthly thing, even though like founders don't show it in social media or don't tell it to other investors, it's something that always is in their head. It was constantly like, okay, like we don't have any wins. Should we push forward? Yes, let's push forward. Let's try this a little bit differently. Maybe we'll get to that point and then we can scale it again, etc., etc. It's constant question. But founders, they need to deal with this. It's an usual thing on a everyday basis, because there are many startups in the world building something for customers, and customers are paying for that. But still, when you start the startup, you get funds, you fundraise. Your main goal would be to bring value to investors, even if it's true, I don't know, exits or in other ways, but you still have a goal, right? So you need to get to that goal, and if you're not approaching that goal, it actually means that you're kind of training yourself in some ways. So you need to push a little bit different direction. So I always, when I got together with my team, founders and employees, I always had this kind of great structure of vision. So if I would paint you a picture, Stoyan, that here on top there's a castle. Imagine there's a castle, and there's a road to a castle. There, it's really steep and it's curvy, and there's people underneath it. Those are founders here. So that's strategy. The road is strategy, and the castle is the vision. So we need to get to that castle somehow. Is the castle expansion to Lithuania? Is the castle expansion to Turkey? Is the castle a perfect podcast that I would like to run the next week or the next month? There has to be a strategy, and there has to be persons or founders or team who would execute that strategy. So if we would do any decision, I would always kind of look for that structure, vision structure.
And thank you for being super open, man. And I mean, coming to the podcast, but also sharing not just the, these are the things we did right, but more on the things that were not going so well, and all these moments, all these thoughts. I don't know anybody who's running any kind of business, a startup or traditional business, that is not going through those kind of things. But we don't really talk enough about them. It's more like, if you've never been a business owner, you kind of have this understanding that these business owners, they know their stuff. They will figure it out. And when you go on the other side, it's like you don't know stuff. You you think you do, and then something hits you, and you're like, oh, what do I do here? And then you kind of solve it, and there's not a problem. And then you solve it, and there's a crisis. There's not a problem, and it's this emotional roller coaster of ups and downs. Sometimes you have phases of more downs, but sometimes it's you wake up one day and you're very optimistic, you have a great idea, and then your co-founder is completely smashed, so you have to pull them up. The next day is the opposite. You kind of down, and your co-founder is like, hey, it's okay, man, let's go, let's move, let's get you some coffee, right? So it's kind of it's a roller coaster, man. It is a roller coaster. I don't think it ever ends. I think there's levels, I think there's levels when you create the structure, when you have solid cash flows and the business model is in place, but then again you have the investors that have expectations. We were discussing before the podcast. If you're Elon Musk, I don't know how many things is this guy dealing with. I don't want to be this guy. Like, I mean, think about all the legal cases and all the decisions and all the. I mean, it's insane the level of pressure on this guy. So I'm really happy we're talking about this, and I wanna get into the actual moment of you guys deciding that's it. Let's I mean, done. We tried, did our best. Was there like a specific like a meeting or a moment that you were like all on the same page and everybody says, yeah, let's see how we close it in the right way?
Yeah, there was meeting actually, and the way we approached it, we had actually 9 months of runway. We had a meeting, and we set the goal that if 1st of July 2025 we don't have one B2B customer, then we would shut down the company. And this was the decision. Everyone agreed. We had a goal. We needed to set the strategy, and we had team to actually work through those months. So what we did, the vision was the first B2B customer. The castle was the first B2B customer. So we set the strategy. I was the salesman. I was calling the different countries, different clubs. And then I had founder who worked on the product together with the developers. So we had team, we had the strategy, we had the vision. And we were so close, I think, we were like at 90%. We were so close that we would close one customer, and I think we would still be working on a product and be in a business. Because why I'm saying this, we shut down the company 1st of July 2025. And in September, the customer wrote to us, hey, and we would like your solution. and we were at that point already like shutting down the company. We were in process of shutting the company. We let the investors know that we are going to shut down the company.
How did you feel when you received this email? Or like, honest, what was your personal feeling?
My personal feeling was like, where were you in 4 months ago or 5 months ago? Like, so, but yeah, this was.
Did you feel disappointed? Did you feel disappointed? It was like, why didn't we push a little bit more?
No, I didn't feel disappointed because one thing that I haven't mentioned to you is that we actually sold the IP to Saudi Arabia in August, in the end of August. So we shut down the company in July 1st, and we sold the IP in August. And in September, when the customer wrote to us, I actually forwarded his request to the new IP owner. So they started like talks together with the club. And I believe like I think I wrote like last week to the buyer, to the IP buyer, and asked like how is he doing, and he said that they're iterating on the product. There's some good partnerships coming up, and they're selling the product. So that's in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, I think there was like 1% disappointment, but 99 I was still happy because there was a team and the founder who actually bought the product and the IP from us, and they could offer this to them.
So how does it work? I'm actually like, I think I don't know if you can talk about it, but like you still have money, like some runway, and like, do you bring it back to the investors? Like, do you guys split them? How does it work? Like how do you clean up the mess at the end, when you're closing things? What happens?
So yeah, 1st of July, I took up my phone. I called all the investors personally. So we had like 15, 20 minutes with some of the investors. We had like 30 minutes calls. I told them the whole story that we pushed. We tried 4.5 years. We did a pivot. We still have money on the bank account, and we want to give all the money that we have back to the investors. So this was the main message.
Proportionally, right? Like
yeah. Okay. So, and this was all the message that all the investors got. I would say, Stoyan, like 90% of the investors, they were really supportive. Like, we understand you. We saw how we pushed, because I kept him in the loop. Like, I sent like monthly updates. I sent the product like demos and everything. So they saw how we were like pushing like the product and the sales and everything. So, and I would say half of the investors said like that in the end of the call that if you're building something new, to let us know and call us. So really supportive. So, but at the first, in the beginning, when I took my phone, I was like a little bit shaking, like to call the investors, like to say, "Oh, we're shutting down." But when I had already the fifth call, I think I was like, "Okay, it's business as usual." You know, startups die, like nine out of 10 startups die, right? So that's business as usual.
And it's also you guys did what you did, right? You've been working hard, you've been upfront with the investors, you've been, kind of communicating honestly, and so that's also, I mean, it's part of the game. Definitely they didn't probably have their best cup of coffee when they hear the the news of another startup shutting doors, but it's still, as you said, it's business as usual. But again, it doesn't mean that you just stay in front of your phone and you can't wait to talk, right? It's these are the moments, the learnings.
Yeah, definitely. Because you, as a CEO and the founder, you're actually selling something to investors, and you're kind of like promising something to investors, that you would scale the company. You're building a unicorn, right? So definitely, it kind of, at some point during the building the startup, I felt like I have an axe on my head. There's on a monthly basis, we're not growing, we're not scaling enough, we're not kind of getting to the point that we are satisfied. So, because I was the one who kind of fundraised, I was the one who was talking with investors, and I was like thinking, okay, I need to push this through. I need to build a right company. I need to grow the company. I need to scale the company. So I had this kind of expectation to kind of give value to investors. So I think this was the hardest part for me as well. And I believe for first-time founders, it could be the case, like 60-75% of the first-time founders, because they don't know when you're in an idea phase and you're fundraising. You actually don't know anything about your market. You don't know anything about your customers. You don't know if the product will work. So you're selling a vision. So and you're promising a vision. So for me, it was the hardest part, to promise something and I couldn't deliver. So this was the hardest part for me, actually.
I resonate so much, man. This I think it's a human feature. We don't like to disappoint others. Like when we set expectations and when we promise, if you're a good person, you want to deliver and you're pushing your best and a little more for 4 years, and it's you can't find a way to fulfill this expectation. It just did you have nights that you cannot sleep, for example, or like you were just days that you're super stressed and just I don't know, during these
Definitely.
4 years?
Yeah, definitely. In the end, what actually helped me is that I started doing therapy. I did therapy sessions, so I could actually talk like uh, with the therapist about my business, about the business, about the investors, about their expectations, everything. So this
When
actually
did you
helped me.
start? When did you start? Like we know the journey now. So when was it? Was it the last year, 2025,
Yeah,
when you
last
were
year.
like with the pivot and everything, and then?
Yeah,
Mm.
but I would recommend start going in the first year, actually. And truly, I'm truly like truly honest, like
Mm.
with every founder.
How did you learn about it? Like, was it a revelation? What some another founder told you? Hey, you should go and try this thing. How did you learn about therapy?
Yeah, I think in Estonian Founder Society there was it's a community of founders, and then they, I think, somehow let people know that I don't know, it's good to go there just to kind of let it out and everything. So I started it,
Were
I
you
tested it,
skeptical
and
initially? Were you skeptical
Yes,
initially? Yes.
yes. Because I was like, okay, therapist doesn't know anything about startups. They don't know anything about my business. Maybe that they don't know how to build a business. But in the end, it didn't even matter. Uh, truly, it didn't even matter if she or he would know about like a startup or a business, because the main idea is that you as a founder and the CEO, you could let your emotions out, and there is someone who will listen and give feedback to your emotions, and you get clarity. That's the main thing. That's the main thing.
So your emotions will be cooled down. On the one side, you will not be so worried and anxious, and then you'll have more clarity about what's the next steps.
Yes. And I think, as I said, it helped me a lot. It drove down the pressure. But of course, pressure in some ways it's good, because we know that pressure makes diamonds, right? So it's always good to have a little bit pressure. But in terms of this kind of not growing enough, not scaling enough pressure, it definitely brought me down, and it gave me some like calmness when I was kind of like doing the outreach to customers, etc., etc.
How often would you? How regular would you have therapy sessions?
Right now I have a monthly basis, and back then I did it once a month as well. Yeah.
Hmm. What
I
other
think like
ways? What other ways in this kind of 4.5 years? What other ways? What else did you do in order to release the pressure? Because we know entrepreneurship by default is a roller coaster with all the uncertainty, all the expectations, not having money at some points, not being able to pay salary, like all these kind of things are, it's a lot of pressure at the same time, and you are underslept, you overworked. So it's all at the same time. Um, what else did you do? Did you have any kind of a support group, mastermind group? You have advisors? Did you do any sports? Like what helped you to release the pressure on a consistent basis?
Yeah, I believe it's personal thing, right? So how every person kind of releases the pressure. For me, yes, it's sports. So I did like 3 times per week. Either, I don't know, played some ball or went to the gym. So it was for me definitely one thing that I had to do. Otherwise, I think it was, yeah, it would have been much more crazier. So for
Much
me, it's
shorter
sports.
journey. Much shorter journey.
Maybe, yeah. But definitely for me, it's sports, and now it's therapy as well. So, but definitely, I would recommend for every CEO and a founder to kind of start going to therapy sessions to kind of release something if there's anything to release, you know. But you will find out.
Many people who are listening who are not from Estonia, I had a chance to spend a lot of time in Estonia with my work, and I think there was a 1 year that I visited 13 times. Like I've been in Estonia many times over, right? And from the first time I visited, something that fascinated me was, I mean, it's a small country, but in a way, the community is very supportive. Like there's many events, people share with each other, different startups, some of them in a similar industry, maybe even competitors, but you kind of guys help each other. You open doors, you help each other. That's my impression. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was something that I really liked. And I wonder how much the community played a role as well, like having these other entrepreneurs, maybe like even now you work for Bolt, like the founders of Bolt, like they're so chill, they just go to all these events and help other founders, and like how much the community helped you, and maybe give us a little bit more about the community in Estonia. What can we learn from it?
Yeah, definitely. I believe there's a huge value in terms of like startup community and being part of it. So one thing, well, not as a joke, but there were like startups who were dying at the same time. So we were one of them. So we were kind of getting together and like talking about things like, and so because I mean, like Estonia as a startup scenery and startup like market, there are many startups like, right? So there are startups who are winning, there are startups who are growing, there are startups who are mediocre, and there are startups who are dying. So there's a mix of everything. So you could kind of just call them and ask like how are they doing and what have they done and how they overcome it and so on. So it's really easy. You just have to take your phone or just ask from your friend who knows this founder, and then you could kind of talk with them. The close community actually helped us to fundraise as well. So the startup community in Estonia is so close that you could actually, like, I don't know, pinpoint one person who you know, and he knows the investor or he knows the founder that you want to talk to,
One
or he
degree. It's
knows.
1 degree usually, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's 1 degree away.
It's so easy, like to start from Estonia and do this all here, and maybe this actually like has a big impact in terms of like why Estonia is so successful in terms of building startups and building things here locally. Um, but yeah, there were support groups, and like last 3 years, I've been part of, or last 2 years, 2.5 years, I think, I have been part of the Estonian Founders Society. So there's a community of founders, like the Bolt founders and like other founders, um, who are doing events together, sharing knowledge, sharing investor contacts, and so on. So everything, and it's really really important.
I thought you're gonna say the Society of Anonymous Dying Startup Founders or something.
No, but I'm not aware of there's any, right? So
No, for sure, man. No, I definitely I've seen that in Estonia. Like, there's so many things, and mm, you know, the whole that even the government is like the regulations, the all the hackathons, the startup acceleration programs, mentors, investors, many of the people who succeed or make an exit, they put money back into the system as angels or invest in some funds, and there's this kind of a collaborative society, like paid forward kind of thing. Sometimes in you don't even expect something from this person, you just help them. But it's kind of like the vibe that really helps. And the other thing though is if you get too much into the community, you forget about your startup. Like, I've seen some people that they always do events and they always go to these sessions, and it's like, dude, you gotta build, you gotta co-customers. Like, so where is the sweet balance? Like, from getting enough support but not forgetting that you have to scale, you have to build, you have to take care of the startup.
yeah, when I was like in the startup ecosystem like 3 years ago or something like this, when I'm still in the ecosystem, but not so much as a participant anymore. So there was a saying that there are some founders who are the conference builders. So they go from conference to conference and they just pitch on the stage, and but the company it's not growing itself, or the business it's not growing itself. I don't know if it's true, and I don't know if it was just a joke, but there was a saying in Estonia among the founders and investors that there are some founders who are just conference builders or conference pitchers. So um, but definitely, like I said in the beginning, I still believe that you have to be out there, and if you want to fundraise, then I think making connections at conferences it's still really important. But at the same time, you have to have your team to actually grow the company at the same time. So for us, it was basically as following: I was fundraising full time, and my other team members and founders they were building the product, the business. So I was supporting on the meetings, but like, I don't know, from morning until the end of the day, I was fundraising. So I was making only contacts with investors, email outreach, and so on. So I was working on a fundraising, not working on a product or not working on a customer. So because fundraising is a full-time job when you're doing it in a first as a first-time founder, it often takes you 6 to 8 months, even longer, and sometimes it doesn't even happen. Yeah, it's a full-time thing.
Yeah, also the nobody knows you. Like, it's relations. It's building relations with the right kind of people, and once they know you, it's easier to to get a meeting, for them to trust you if they already trusted you before, or but if you don't know anybody, you have to build a network from scratch. Hey, talk to Marek, he's a great guy. Okay, sure, but like, who is Marek, right? It takes a bit of time to build, and I've seen many founders, they're like, we need to fundraise now, let's start calling investors. Like, did you make the effort to start making relations before you have to start fundraising? Like, maybe 6 months ago or 8, like you start creating these connections and have meetings, and I don't know, like, did you see anything that really helped you in that perspective? Like, maybe mistakes you guys made, maybe you went too late to talk to these guys, or maybe some wins, like, I don't know, personal introductions, or like, what helped you to build the right relationships with investors that helped you to fundraise?
Yeah, there was one investor who invested like 50% of the total amount, and I think I approached them 3 years, something like this. I think I got like 10 times a rejection, and 11th time I got a yes. So, but what helped us is I think the perseverance is one thing. So, as you Stoyan know, I've been like, in my past experience, I've been working in a company that sells books door to door in United States. So I did it for 3 summers 10 years ago. I was really successful there, and I think it helped me to grow this kind of, how to say they say in Estonia, thick skin. So if you get rejected, you don't go away, or you don't feel personal. You still kind of try to iterate, okay, what went wrong? Okay, what did this person like about my pitch? What he didn't like? So you iterate and you go back asking again from the same person. So you try to basically approach and close them like many, many times, because sometimes it's just something that they don't like. You have to find out what do they like and what they don't like about, so you can change it and you can kind of reiterate it on it, and then definitely in the end they will make a decision that it's in favor for you. So I
I
think
love this,
this
man.
helped me.
Let me just emphasize on that one a little bit. So, guys, everybody listening, if you have a business or if you work for a company and somehow you're related to sales or fundraising, for that sake, just think about it. Think about what he just shared. 10 times he gets rejected in a matter of 2 years. Most people will literally, the first or the second time they get a no, they're like, this guy's not interested, they'll just move on. I'm serious. Most people will say they're not interested. If they're interested, they'll come back to us. No, sometimes you need to push it, and it doesn't come with, like, you get the feedback. Okay, thank you for checking my material. What do you think we need to change for you to say an yes? And they'll tell you. And then
True.
in a few months, you kind of follow up again, and then they'll reject you again, and then you get the feedback again. And it doesn't mean that they'll say yes at some point. Maybe they'll never say yes, but they might. And so many people get the rejection. It hurts their ego, and they're like, let's go and move on to somebody else. Or follow-ups. People are busy. They don't care about you. so you're not their first priority. They might be your first priority because you need the money, but you might not be their first priority. So it's okay to follow up. If people didn't reply to you twice, then write them again, call them again. That's fine. At least you should get a no, right? So,
True.
I mean, follow-ups. Do you do follow-ups? A lot of.
Yeah, there was a saying, and when I was working in the US and selling books door to door, there was a saying like, every no gets me closer to a yes. So I think this was the strategy when I was fundraising as well. Like, okay, I get a no, but this will actually help me to get closer to a next yes. So they will definitely, there are different people who are like saying no to me, but definitely next one is going to say at least like, I don't know, 1 yes or 2 yes or 3 yeses.
It's kind of like a little dopamine shot, right? It's like you get you're like, you get a no and you're like, yeah, let's go. I'm closer.
Yeah, I'm closer. You know, it pushes me forward. Like, okay,
Dude, it's all
say me
mindset.
no. Yeah,
It's all mindset. Like if you fix this, the operational system, and you get resist, like you put a shield around the emotions that are putting you down, the stories and narratives that are putting you down. You let go of your ego. As you said, ego could be sometimes helpful, but for the most part is putting you down. If you're sensitive, if you easily get off track, right?
yeah.
Amazing. Let's maybe kind of get closer to the end of this episode, and what's just kind of for the castle now that now that the startup is not there, right, anymore. But like, do you see yourself in the future coming back to entrepreneurship sometime in the future, in 5-10 years maybe? Like, do you see you'll be building your own thing again, like now that you've gone through all these things and all the suffering, all the long hours and stuff? Do you think that you'll be back here? And maybe together with that, like, to combine the question, what would be your final message to everybody out there that is considering becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah. There's a saying that I like to say and like to think is that once a founder, always a founder. So uh, whenever you become a founder, you're always a founder, right? So definitely there is possibility that I will start building something in the future. But right at this point, right now, I'm just like taking a break, uh, like building my social kind of capital or energy. So uh, trying to get myself together and everything, getting spending time with my family, with my son. So I think this is the most important part right now. But of course, if opportunity arises, then I'm all ears. Right now, even I'm coaching startups in one program in Estonia. So like I have one foot in the ecosystem still, but not myself. I'm not right now building anything. So, but maybe in the future. One core message for future founders or entrepreneurs is that uh, I would say the mindset is everything. So you need to kind of help yourself to either fix the mindset, improve the mindset, and through different things. Either it's, I don't know, sports, either it's through therapy sessions, either it's through different strategies. I don't know. I always like to recall the picture that I painted, like the castle and the road and then and the team. So I think the mindset, as you said, Stoyan, as well, mindset is everything. So you need to fix your mindset, and then you would be succeeding, and you would be set for success for the next step. What is the next step? It's different for everyone, right? Is it fundraising? Is it a new customer? Is it I don't know, a new product? So yeah, so I think this is the core message to kind of to
Hey, but
everyone.
by the way,
You
we're
know,
not affiliated with any therapists out there, so we're not we're not getting commission or anything. Maybe we should. Maybe we should connect with some and just get some external revenue stream. It's a win-win. But for the sake of this episode and everything, thank you so much for everybody for being here. Uh, thanks for being with us, and see you once again at the next episode of the Productivity Mastery. Thank you so much, Marek, for being with us and for the unfiltered episode here. Cheers, guys.
thank you guys.
Okay.